Okay, this part's for anyone that doesn't know. Excuse me. Once you get an honor piece, um, the base level is 158. Um, but then you can upgrade it 6 times. So, like here's the PvP trinket, and you can see that it'll increase in cost each time you upgrade it all the way to 6. And it show you the stats as you upgrade. All the way to 190 high level. And the conquest gear is baseline 190, even if you're unranked, and then it'll go up with rank, obviously. So, and some of these, require achievements, some don't. So, kind of like a system of the past here. Okay, guys, I wanted to make a quick video because I do have some friends that are a little confused on how this works. So if you already know how soulbinds and conduits work with the resets and everything, then just disregard and don't watch the video. But so the top one is going to be the first soulbind that you unlock. So you bind your soul to this one, first one that you get in the campaign. As you continue through the campaign, you unlock this guy next, and then finally General Draven, or whoever the third guy is for your chosen covenant. And then the abilities themselves do change. That's the whole point of a soulbind. But the conduits here in between those, like this one and this one, are both just part of the soulbind. But these two in between are the conduits that you choose from over here based on your spec and based on the conduit type. So the Agent of Chaos leads into a potency. So you look over here in potency for your spec and choose your favorite ones based on your spec. And finesse and endurance are down here. Finesse is more like utility, and endurance is like your survivability. So you get passive bonuses just for going through the soulbind abilities, right? So you choose your path. Like right here, I chose to go with a disorient whenever I use Door of Shadows, but you could also go with the sprint whenever you use Door. So different utility options there. And then you go into this, which is, I still don't understand it. It's part of the covenant thing that we haven't really done. And then it leads you to another conduit option here. Potency, endurance, or finesse. So you get to choose. I mean, you're really going to generally want at least 2 potency conduits. But some trees you can get up to 3. But you have to give up an endurance or a finesse. So yeah, you'll have to look at the talent calculator and decide, what's more important to you. And whichever path you lead, you go into, like if you want a third potency conduit, you'd have to go this route, which means you have to take this, right? So the duration of incoming interrupts, snares, and root effects are reduced by 25%. Pretty good, right? So not bad. Some soul binds for that third potency will give you something that's pretty bad, but yeah, you get something different. So you kind of have to decide not only which conduit you want, like which conduit type, but you also have to decide which of these 3 that you want to go with. So for me, I like Dauntless Duelist the best, so I decided, well, I need 1 endurance conduit anyway, so I went this route. But, like I said, you want that potency, then you'll go this route, and then it'll lead you down here to your next potency. So that gives me a total of, 2 for me, but if I went this route, I could get 3. which wouldn't be a bad option. I just happen to like this one. And then that'll lead you into your final talent. But when you choose a different soulbind, you obviously get different passive things, you know, and different conduit options. Like here, right off the bat, you get 2 potencies if you go this route. Right? And it's pretty good. Door of Shadows frees you from roots and snares. So clears those things and you get 2 potencies right away. You know? So then you have to decide, you know, between these 3, or at the very least, you know, decide which kind of conduit you want, and that's going to force you into going this direction. Like if you want a 3rd potency, it's going to force you to take this talent. And then the same for the 3rd, like you're just going to get different passives, right? And then, so for each soulbind, you can reset once per week. So for me, like if I wanted, like, let's just look at this one here, right? So I have Slaughter, since I'm Venthyr, it's increasing that. And then the other potency I have is this one that reduces my Shadow Blades cooldown, right? So like if I thought this was better for Mythic Plus or something, then I would set this one up accordingly, and then I could reset it once per week. But then I could set this guy up for PvP, because it's actually a nice PvP soulbind, and you can set your conduits and your talents and stuff the way you want, and then you can also reset that one once per week. You can see I already reset it once, so I have 4 days until I can reset it again. So you can use a certain soulbind for one spec, and another soulbind for another, and then even the 3rd for another. But the one thing you can't do is, say you only want to play Arms Warrior, and you only want to play with the Nagia soulbind. If you want to do both PvE and PvP, you're going to have to do your PvE for the week, and then reset it, put in the conduits and stuff that you want, and then activate it again, right? But most covenants, you know, have one soulbind that's better for one and one that's better for another. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You can actually reset once per week for each of these, not for all 3. So they're independent in that regard. Okay, so I figured I'd show the example of being able to switch soulbinds based on spec. So you can see with Bonesmith here, I have Assassination conduits. I'm running Assassination here, and then you can see I've already had my sub stuff set up for this guy, and so I can just swap specs to sub, and then it's already active. See? So I have everything the way I want it for sub, and then I can activate this one. Just keep in mind, it's kind of weird. If you actually change your spec rather than hitting activate, then it'll automatically switch your covenant. But doing it the other way around, you have to do both. So yeah, just switch specs and it'll switch automatically, because it'll see that you have the spec specific conduits in there for it. So, and you can freely, you know, switch between those without having to worry about any sort of reset or anything like that. And you can do that with all 3 as long as you have all 3 unlocked. But yeah, the reason you haven't seen a whole lot of people, you know, a lot of them are like, well, I can reset once per week and that's it, because they only had the first soulbind unlocked for most of the beta, because these other 2 have been locked. Yeah, that's the whole reason that, you know, a lot of people are like, well, I'm stuck into playing one spec and then I can reset once per week and, you know, do a different type of content with different conduits. But that's only because these other two, you had to go through and complete the whole campaign to actually unlock them, which most of us aren't willing to do on beta because we're going to have to do it at launch. So it's like we don't want to burn out before then. There's one validity to that, and that would be if someone wants to play one Soulbind in both PvE and PvP, but use different conduits, then yeah, you get one reset per week, and that's it. Right? So that's kind of the catch right there, is that if you just like the one Soulbind and you don't want anything to do with the other two, then yeah, you can swap once per week, but that's it. Like, you're just done from there. So say you want a Mythic Plus as Fury Warrior, you know, and use different stuff, then you put in your Fury conduits in here and activate it. And then, you know, you want to play arms for PvP, then you reset down here and you put in arms conduits, and then you're just stuck that way until Tuesday rolls around again. That's it for this video, guys. Hopefully some useful information in there somewhere. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen. I'll catch you in the next one.